Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It has been a while. Various things.
You better
I,
listen up.
oh, God. Shh. It's the opposite of listen. Nope, I was slightly ill. We've just been very busy. So we have unfortunately not been able to talk about Doctor Who for so long. It feels like it's been ages since we've spoken about Doctor Who. And an actual episode as well.
Yeah.
So we are making our way through all of Doctor Who from 2005 to 2023 because it's no longer New Who, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then you can start Doctor Who 2023 onwards.
Yeah, and we have made it to episode 4 of season 8. Listen, one of the creepiest episodes, I think, during Capaldi's era, if not the creepiest one during his era. I think this is
Definitely
quite
up
up
there,
there with it. Because he doesn't fight the Weeping Angels, does he? There's no Weeping
they
Angels
have like
until
cameos,
13,
but they're
is
never
there?
like the main villain. No.
Yeah, I mean the next one, maybe you could argue the Mondasian Sidemen and all that stuff is quite creepy, especially the first half of that. But I would argue this is probably the creepiest it gets, which is great for episode 4 of his run.
Welcome.
So it's been a real roller coaster in terms of episodes. If you think about last week, where we had last episode, which would have been, if we were watching it live last week, Robot of Sherwood, which was camp and bad and silly. And then you think about this week, which I would say is good, creepy, and terrifying.
Has there been a bigger contrast between episodes than this? I'm not sure.
It's been a while since there has been. If there has been one, it's
it really is like from Barbie Swoppenheimer. If Barbie was bad,
yeah. It really is. But yeah, this episode sees the Doctor be fixated on the notion that there's something hidden.
Never alone.
There's something hidden behind you, just off your eyesight, under your bed, in your cupboard, all that kind of thing. Exactly. It could be with you right now. Could just be right behind
my
your
cat.
eye.
No. It was right.
Probably was a cat.
Get out of here.
And he just tries to figure out if there really was something, or if it's just generic fear. And this episode pretty much leaves it ambiguous as to the answer.
Make up your own mind, friends.
Is both good and bad, I would say, because there are some things there are obviously evidence towards one viewpoint and evidence towards the other, and you'll never truly know. So I know that kind of ambiguity does annoy certain people, and some people just don't like that. It's fine. I don't mind it, but yes, exactly. How dare they spell it out for you?
How dare they?
How dare they stop the camera and go, look, this is the situation. This is what you should be doing.
Hello, welcome to Doctor Who. This is what this episode's themes are this week. What if we learn this week voicing this?
Yeah, they just have to do 5 minutes at the end where it's like, here's what you should have learned. If you didn't think this, please rewatch the episode. Just keep going round and round in circles. But what did you think of the episode? Seeing as though it's only the 4th of Peter Capaldi's.
Yeah, I've always really enjoyed this one. Having rewatched it, I think it's a masterpiece. I absolutely adore this. Easily the best episode of this series so far. I do think it is a standout of Peter's entire run, for good reason. I do think it is kind of considered as such. And yeah, definitely one of my favourites, I think, of New Who that we've covered so far. Or sorry, Doctor Who 2005.
Doctor Who 2005, 2023.
Sorry, silly me. Getting that wrong all the time. Old New Who. It's definitely a
not classic Who. Yeah.
No, it's a great exploration of the Doctor's character. Very interesting idea in general. I like that it doesn't pander to the audience and actually, treats them as smart as they are, and just lets you make your own mind up. I think it's more interesting if there isn't just a definitive answer, because then you just move on and forget about the episode. I like that it continues the idea of Clara saving the Doctor, in this case, kind of saving him from himself, and just continuing that arc for when she kind of becomes very much an equal. And the Clara and Danny Kateri, that relationship as well. There's a sweetness in a way to their scenes in this one, but oh my God. This is the truth that the darkest stuff this episode has to offer. It's the Clara and Danny dinner.
Sure.
So yeah, I like the kind of continuation of that.
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
Very human thing going on alongside all this madness that the Doctor's kind of going through. He's really going through it. But yeah, I really, really love everything this episode kind of had going for it, to be honest. See you next week.
Yeah, I think that's. I think that's a fair point. And we'll go into a lot of sort of that in more depth now as we speak of the positives and the negatives of these episodes. And right now.
My God!
As long as the internet allows us, we will do it right now. But yes, we have some positives, we have some negatives, and I'll let you go first this week. What's your first positive? Your first one.
The exploration of the Doctor's character is my first one.
Okay.
Because oh boy, does this guy have some issues. I like that the kind of very early on in Capaldi's run, they just really gave him something quite meaty and gritty to work with. And just the idea that he gets very, in particular, doing it with 12, knowing where things go with he very much gets fixated on Clara and Clara in turn with him. So the idea that he gets fixated on just anything to his detriment and, to his ill health. He could have got sucked out of a spaceship at the end of this episode and that would have been that. I think that's a really intriguing idea. And what does the Doctor get up to when he doesn't have a companion around? It's kind of continuing that theme that he needs someone with him. And we see really why in this, and because he goes insane. So I like that idea, and seeing the origins of this recurring nightmare that he's had, seeing a very young Doctor in that barn and everything, and that callback to the Doctor's really fun. That's all really cool. Very early indicator that Peter Capaldi is really good with kids as well. As the Doctor, I really liked, what he was kind of saying about strength being a superpower to young Danny, or Rupert, should we say, and everything with that. I thought was, I think you might be a bit unsure of Capaldi at first because he's quite the contrast to 11, and he can be quite rude and abrasive and stuff. But I think seeing moments like that, okay, there is a heart there to him somewhere. I think that might melt some hearts a bit with scenes in this episode. I think it was a good point to do it, especially because they tried to go really the opposite way with Robot Showed with him and just put him in a really silly one. And I think this is probably a better balance for it to just allow him to have some lighter, more wholesome moments, even if it's not his companion who he mocks for not having makeup on and having 2 mirrors and stuff, and all that is really good. And Peter Capaldi is fantastic in this. He made me laugh many times. But yeah, just the paranoia that he kind of goes through. I think that's a great kind of addition to the Doctor's character, and that grows with 13 and her paranoia with the whole timeless child thing. So unknowingly planting some seeds for that, and a kind of lingering characteristic between incarnations, which I enjoy, that kind of crossover. So yeah, I think it really deepens, the Doctor's motivations, and he doesn't even know the half of what's going on with his origins. So the fact that he thinks, oh well, that's mystery potentially solved. I'm at peace with that now. Oh honey, you've got a big storm coming in a couple of years. I really enjoyed all of that. I thought we had a really nice arc in this one, along with Clara as well. But I think this added a very interesting layer to the Doctor as a character, and it does make me wish for more stories when it's just the Doctor on his own, because you can see, and we do see with Heaven Sent, what you can do when you leave Peter Capaldi to his own devices.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He definitely sells it, and sells the idea that something as simple could be universe ending effectively to him. It's this question that will just drive him insane. But it's such a simple premise that it catches up with him, and that's probably the issue, is that it's such a simple thing is what drives him crazy, because there's no big elaborate plot scheme that he can foil.
And we see that again in Twice Upon a Time. He's like, this isn't an evil plan, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great, and Peter Capaldi is great, and he's, as always, and as we'll say in every episode, no matter what script he's given, he just delivers, as does every actor for the Doctor. They're always great in the role. My first positive is quite simply just the idea of the threat, I guess, the concept of what's happening, because it's not a threat really, or is it?
Yeah.
The simple idea that everyone has had this sort of dream or this feeling that there's something there, because everybody has. It's what Moffat does very well, is taking something that seems fairly mundane, or a fairly simple idea, and sort of giving it that horror-esque twist. He did it with the Weeping Angels, obviously. He's done it previously with Gas Mask zombies and all that kind of thing. So he's done it before, and he's done it very well with this one, and I just love the whole idea behind it, and that's what lends its creepiness. And you see that in the cold open, where it's sort of laid out in front of you as like, this is the thing, exactly what I'm talking about. And it's like, oh shit, he's right. What if there is something there? And it hooks you in immediately, because it's such a concept that everyone can relate to and everyone can feel, that you're immediately like, okay, yeah, let's investigate this, because I want to know for myself what on earth's going on. When they land on, like, next episode, where they're going to be on a planet in a bank with aliens, people can't necessarily relate to that, because it's quite, it is quite outlandish. But with this one, it's very personal, and you can very much feel, oh yeah, okay, that's that could affect me. Oh, shadows over there. Oh yeah, I didn't think they could be dangerous, but you're right. Oh, a statue in the park. I didn't think that would be a problem. Oh, wait a minute. And now just the thought that when you're in a room alone, that there could be something else with you, and you just won't see it because it simply does not want you to see it, is horrific. And I hate the idea, but it's such a good one. And I think this is the best way they could do it as well. And I'm kind of glad that they don't revisit it, at least not on TV. And there's just no simple answer of, there really was something there.
It's like Midnight. Like, they never go back to what that creature might have been, or or might not have been, what it looked like, what it might not have. And I think that makes it all the more impactful.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, what's your second positive?
My second positive is just the cast in general.
Okay. Yeah.
Peter Capaldi's great. Jenna Colvin's great. They're great together. I think Samuel Anderson's really good as Danny as well. Like, he's given all the cringe stuff, and yet he kind of powers through. I think he does do a good job with that, and I do like the recurring joke of him just slamming his head on the table. I found that funny. Into the Dalek, I found it funny here, so that was good. And I thought the young guy playing young Danny was also really good. I think he kind of bounced off the others really well. And I think when it is kind of quite a tight cast like this episode has, they're going to have a chance to shine, because they kind of all need to have an equal share of the screen time. I think they'll get that, and very much do deliver. Obviously Peter and Jenna get the bulk of the stuff to do, and I think they're great at that. But just a little side character, I really felt bad for that guy whose coffee got stolen by the Doctor. One of those things, they are kind of playing with audience expectations, like, oh, the coffee's gone, and then he's just drinking it. He just nicked it. Hilarious. So yeah, like physical comedy like that, I think works really well. But Peter Capaldi had so many great one-liners. I've
got the line where it's like, News on set, I thought I'd hide in the bedroom. It's like, no, it's funny, because that's the worst place you should hide every day.
You silly thing. So yeah, he wouldn't make that mistake after his 24 years with River Song in a couple of years.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, I thought they all give like great performances. Jenna, her face when she realizes, like, oh shit, I'm under the Doctor's bed, and then when she grabs his leg, oh, I fucked up.
God.
I just, the softness when she kind of uses his words to soothe him and like plants that in his head. It's all just so good. I love everything the kind of episode has going for it, and I think the performances definitely elevate that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then, given that Samuel Anderson has to play two versions of himself,
some really terrible hair.
It really was. They obviously.
How do we make him unattractive? Give him give him this wig, this awful wig.
Here you go. Wear that. That's fine. He had to play somebody that was stuck at the end of the universe, and scared for his life, and he does that very well. And he has to play someone that's stuck on a date and scared for his life. He does that very well.
Does that very well.
And he does it great. I think he really sells. It really sells the relationship between him and Clara, and sort of the other version of himself as well that's trapped there. He's great. And I don't think there's really a bad performance in this. Again, whenever you put a child actor in, there's always the risk. But I think this one was very good, especially considering he has one of the key scenes in the episode. He's prominently featured in, and he delivers it very well, which is a big credit to him. It's great. My second positive is the bedroom scene where the thing is on the bed. It's just horrific.
Where Clara's looking under and then the weight just goes down.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah. Or when the blanket like slips off of it, and I'm like,
you just get
that? Yeah, and it's just so. I like it. It is very horror-esque, and it's just. I like it when horror films do that, where you see stuff sort of in the background, out of frame. The prime example, obviously, that I always go to is in It, the first It movie, where the kid's in the library, and behind him, like the creepy librarian is like got this horrific grin as she watches him. I think that kind of horror I love, because it's not in your face. It's very like subtle. I mean, this one's
that's the stuff that creeps me out. Is things you might easily miss, but if you spot it, you're like, oh.
Yeah, and this is obviously meant to be something you see, but it's still in the background, and the way it's sort of framed and shot, it's just so. There's just nothing that you can. There's nothing tangible there. There's not quite enough for you to build an image of what this thing is.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I also don't think any images from behind the scenes have ever come out of this, so you really don't know what that was. Which is another very good, whether that's intentional or not, I think is great.
I don't think it was Stephen Moffat under there.
Yeah, because he's got a little hat on. That's it. But it's great because it's just you don't know what it is. It could be a child. It could be a child messing about, which is kind of what they're trying to hit at. But at the same time, it might not be. It could be a horrific alien that is about to kill you if you turn around and look at it. And the performance is really sad. That the fact that the doctor is scared shitless as well. He's got no idea whether he should turn around. He's just like, I'm just not gonna look. I'm just gonna keep looking out the window. I'm just not gonna look. Everybody else, just do not look at it. You can leave. Goodbye. Please go away. And then I think it's just great. It's one of the best scenes in the episode, if not the best scene in the episode. It's something that stays with you long after you've seen the episode. It's something that I still think about now whenever I think about Peter Capaldi's run. It's one of these scenes.
Even in the build up to rewatching this, you kept talking about that scene with the bed.
Yeah, it's the one thing I remember out of it, and it's just so standout. And I like it when the show does that kind of thing, and I hope and I wish it would do it more, but we'll see.
Scare the children.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't make me.
Please scare the children. We haven't had scary children.
I beg of you, just scare the children.
Beg of you, please.
They're scaring the adults with making it woke, but they're not scaring the children.
Of course, yes, no, yeah. Because I don't. It's been a while since we've scared the children. I can't really point to much in 13th.
We personally have scared.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah.
I haven't scared the children this year yet.
Yeah. But I don't think anything from the 13th Doctor's era was very spooky.
No, there's a really creepy thing, and it takes you away. Then they cut it from the episode, so that might have been it.
Yeah, so there are some things that maybe, but it has been a while since I think it's reached this level of spooky and hide behind the sofa. So I hope they bring it back. But one of the top scenes for the episode.
10 years on, still living in my brain.
Oh God, it really is. Yeah. Your third positive?
My third positive, playing with the unknown. I've just gone for. I like that there isn't a definitive answer to everything. It could just be the pipes in the ship. It could be, an alien trying to break in. It could be Jack and River knocking on the door. Who knows? I doubt it really is that one, but you never know. And the idea of like the thing sliding off whatever that thing on the bed was, and you get a brief glimpse. I think they kind of went for like a generic grey alien sort of face. They could easily just be a child, which I enjoy. Because that's why I think we're still talking about this episode 10 years on, because it doesn't give you all the answers, and I think some things are just best left unexplained. I like that the episode's kind of challenging you to kind of imagine it and think for yourself, like, what would you do in that situation? Like, would you have turned your back on that creature? I probably wouldn't have. I just let it kill me.
No,
unless it was a child. Unless it was a child with a knife, then it still would have killed me.
Yes.
So you never know. But I really enjoy that idea, and it's not like it doesn't completely not give you answers. You do see where the Doctor got this idea from and got this nightmare from. Where he got his ideals of. I just love the thing with the little soldier without the gun. And that's like the bravest of all. And then, you know, Clara leaves that with the Doctor. That's where that idea comes from. That's really cool, especially when you see Capaldi ends up being the Doctor who doesn't wield a gun and everything to save Clara. So I really like all of that. So, you know, that kind of balances it out with not necessarily giving you everything. I think it gives you enough for you to be at peace with the idea and to move forward. But, you know, it's not an answer. Very much like Midnight. You know, you don't want all the answers to that because it's not going to be as good as what's imagining in your head, which is an ideal I wish people would kind of get a bit more on board with in 2024. But never mind. If it's not exactly how you imagined it, it must be bad. So
obviously.
This episode is a 0 out of 10 because it didn't tell me the answer. I must be spoon-fed the answers. But I personally really enjoyed that. I think it's a much bolder way of telling the story and just being like, no, it was an alien. No, okay, moving on then. You know, it's always an alien, Doctor Who. Why can't it just be something unexplained? Just to be a bit different for once. I think that's why the episode does stand out. So just playing with those little things. I think when you're watching the episode, you get much more into it because of that. And I think that's why it's still kind of very fondly remembered 10 years on.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And, you know, it's those kinds of episodes where they have that little hook of something different that stick with you, whether that's this one, whether that's, you know, Silence in the Library or Blink, where it's, you know, something slightly more unique that stays with you, the silence as well. A frog on a chair. Yes, two very good answers there. Yeah, both green.
It's true.
But yeah, you know, it's those kinds of things where they're the best episodes. And, you know, every episode does try to have a unique twist, but some of them end up being just very run of the mill. And this is the kind of thing that stands out, which is great. My final positive is Clara and Danny. I think I get, you know, I know the date sequence is so cringe and it's so bad, but I love it. It's great. Their relationship is very wholesome. How they just kind of keep trying to repair that date and you know, and then they keep fucking it up for themselves. They all keep stepping in it. But it's good that they have these moments that shows that they're not just a hopeless romantic couple. You know, like we've seen before with like Amy and Rory, where they're just they don't really have those arguments. They kind of just agree on everything. These are two very equal people, whereas Amy and Rory, there was clearly like a hierarchy between them.
Yeah, certainly at the start, it was very much like
Rory. Yeah, exactly. So it's good that they sort of start on equal footing, and you can see that he's a match for her, and she's sort of on.
Give it up, Mickey. She doesn't like you.
Oh God!
For God's sake!
Don't even go there. But you know, I think the bit where he just goes on about the whales, and she's like, "Okay, all right."
It's so good. Like when one of them storms out, and then she comes back like, "Okay, they can fix it now." And then Daddy just immediately says the wrong thing. Like, "Oh my God's sake!" And when she's like, "Oh, but Rupert picked," you're like, "No, Clara, no."
It's
like, people like you don't get it. What do you mean, people like me? No.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's more a roller coaster than the alien stuff.
It really is. Oh, why don't you just tell them what's going on? And the spacesuit appears. I'm like, just do it. This is the perfect. You're not going to get a better opportunity.
Yeah.
You're like, look, turn around, come with me. I'll show you what shit I do. And there's nothing better. And if you do that now, he doesn't die in 6 episodes.
And then he would have taken off a helmet, and it was him with bad hair.
What better way to sort of introduce you to this life than introduce your descendant? I think that's fine.
Dear.
But you know, I think their relationship is great. I enjoyed it when they first sort of started a couple of episodes ago. I'm enjoying it now, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it in a couple of episodes' time when we're stuck at a museum and in the forest with them as well. That will be the saving grace of that episode, I'm sure. But it builds it, and it builds them, and it shows that they can be good together, and it shows that they can mesh, which is going to make it even worse when they eventually have the part at the end of the series. And it's something that I don't think I necessarily appreciated as much first time. I mean, you didn't know where it was going first time around, but you know, on maybe the second or third rewatch, I kind of was like, oh, whatever. But sort of now, maybe getting older and sort of seeing those relationships in real life, and you know, seeing other people go through them, it's kind of like, okay, I can see where they're going for with this, and it resonates a lot more. Because I imagine those scenes are probably the worst bits for the kids watching. They're probably like, I don't care about this. Go, you know, go whatever.
Scene when you get it on DVD.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But then flipping around and you get older, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll go to the future, I guess. But I want to go and see more of that.
I'm trying so hard.
I want to go see more of that terrible date, please. Can I have another one? Because where he's like, oh, where's your jacket? And she's like, oh, fuck, I forgot my jacket. And it's like, oh god. It's just because you in your head, you're like, if I was in this situation, I'd have said this, but you'd have just been as flummoxed as she was, and you'd be in the. So
and his little wave when he sees her.
Yeah.
Oh, and he waves at her. He's a little boy. Oh.
My only criticism of that is like that's not the same wave. That's not the wave the little boy does. I'm like, no. That's not the same.
Whatever scene they shot first, they should have studied that wave.
Yeah, because old Danny Pete just goes, oh, whereas the other one goes, I'm like, no, they're not the same.
The ravages of time just went, oh yeah.
Yeah,
killed his wave.
Things.
The enthusiasm of his wave just died.
Your enthusiasm probably would also wane when you've shot a child. But
that's true.
let's not forget.
Or it's all those wells. He hurt his hand digging all those wells.
Yeah, that's true.
He can't wave very well anymore.
That's literally as far as his hand.
He can embrace his arm, but he can't wave.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Clara and Danny are great in this, and I'm already looking forward to seeing them again because I don't think we get anything with them next week. I don't think.
No, it's not the caretaker, I think now.
Yeah, but then we get a couple with obviously the caretaker and the Forest of the Night. So there's a couple of good bits coming up.
Kill the Moon as well.
And,
They have a bit in Flatline as well.
Okay, so I'm excited for those because those are all episodes I haven't really seen. I think from Time Heist onwards, between Time Heist and the end of the series, I've not really watched. And I mean, at least 2 of those episodes, I'm not expecting to be very good. So we'll see how we go. But speaking of not very good, we must now speak of the negatives of the episode.
I haven't seen these in ages. I wrote these ages ago.
So what is your first negative?
I do feel like the Orson Pink stuff isn't as strong, is what I've gone for. I think, in terms of exploring the character stuff, I really liked everything with young Danny. I just feel like that side of things just wasn't as interesting. We've done the whole everything's dead thing a couple of times already. They did it in Hyde, and they even had the orange spacesuit there as well. I just, especially knowing like this is going to get undone because Orson Pink's not going to exist by the end of the series. It does feel like rewatching it is like this very much is like it doesn't matter now. So I don't know. I think just the setup and everything, and obviously they had kind of the iconic scene with like the thing under the bed with that young Danny sequence, and I feel like we didn't have that moment with the Orson Pink stuff. It just felt like we need to use Samuel Anderson. Let's just throw him in there and be like, maybe Danny and Clara are going to work things out. Or maybe Danny has a twin brother and that's Orson Pink's great grandfather or something before we know. That's probably what they'll do in the target novelization. So I do think the first 2/3 of the episode are definitely where it's at its strongest. I mean, it picks back up again when they get to the bar and stuff. But I guess there's a bit of a lull with Orson Pink. Sorry, Orson. But
I do completely agree because I've put one of mine as just meandering. It kind of ties into 2 of them. Meandering and the Danny pothole is what I kind of put because it does, that stuff is good to show that this thing still exists at the end of time, which is great. But why is it got to be Danny? Is it just so because you could travel to the end of time anyway and be like, let's go and find out if it's still there, but and just find a random person. So I don't think you necessarily need to have him there. If as time is at this point with Danny still alive, if it is going off Clara's genes so it can look into her timeline's future, it makes more sense to go and see him than it does to go and see Rupert because that link doesn't go there.
Maybe when she's frozen in her moment of death, she goes back in time and sees Danny and the
would that even work? Would that I don't know if that would even work because surely
we don't know how it works. It's Doctor Who. Anything could work.
That's true. It doesn't matter.
River Song can regenerate because Amy was conceived her in the TARDIS. Like anything could happen.
And hey, they could donate what they need to donate and have somebody else birth the child.
That's true.
That's realistic. But so I think it does meander a little bit. When it gets, I think the first half is very much strong, and then after. Basically, from when Orson walks in the spacesuit, I think the episode sort of loses its way slightly. Very much feels like it needs to spend time doing something it doesn't necessarily need to, which can be an issue when you've got such a simple idea and you don't want to reveal the villain. It's kind of like, okay, what else can we add in to make this spooky?
Yeah.
But it might have been better to just, instead of just show another human, they could have gone to a different alien planet and been like, oh, this is the same thing.
Yeah.
But
they needed something to get Clara to, the Doctor's past, but I think they probably could have covered something a bit more interesting than this.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. This kind of annoyingly puts both of my two of my negatives into one, is that it's just both of them just sort of merged together. And I think if you take Orson Pink out and just replace them with somebody else, you could even keep the same scenario where the Doctor gets too curious and gets injured and whatever. You could have that still be the thing. You could still have that be the resolution that leads to the rest of, to the end of the episode. But I just think you can probably swap that. It's only there really to shock the audience, go, oh my god, but how can he be there? How can it be Danny? And given that little tease. But then as you mentioned, when it gets to the end of the series and he's dead, it's like, well, so what happens there now? What is that? Because surely you've now created some kind of
guess
paradox.
Orson bi-regenerated and all other versions
of
Sam Anderson bi-regenerated at the same point in the timeline. So they just split off, I would assume.
Could you imagine that Danny Pink's just not dead? He's just regenerated.
He's just bi-regenerated.
Like the Eighth Doctor in the TV movie where he goes to a hospital and then regenerates. It's the same thing. That's what's happened to Danny there. He was taken away.
That's what's gone on there.
Yeah.
Danny also jumped into a time stream. And then got split as a different version of himself.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so those are sort of annoyingly two of my negatives. So what's your second?
Let's have a look. I mean, I guess mine kind of disagree. My second, I do like, the ambiguity and stuff. I do feel like it lent a bit too much on like choosing a side at the end for my personal taste. I kind of wish we didn't, we see the things falling off the creature on the bed, but we don't get like an alien-y sort of face or a human face, anything like that. I feel like making it sort of alien-y is then picking a side, technically. And I wish we'd like seen it fall off, but we didn't see what's on the bed and then just goes. Just a bit more ambiguity like that for my taste. I do feel like a few things like that. There's probably an answer it wants you to think, even if it is like, it could also be this, but go crazy, Reddit. So I think that somewhat loses a bit of the point when it is doing stuff like that. So I just wish, a bit more ambiguity, and I think what you're going for would probably hit home just that bit harder.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of, it's kind of the same as my second negative, or the one that I'm adding on to my second negative, in that I think the same, but for a different part. When Clara grabs his ankle, and then like, oh, so you're clearly. Then I'm like, oh, so now you're implying that everything
this is a thing.
Was just his. Yeah. So I think we both think the same thing, just about the different parts of the episode, because they do. I mean, in that case, they clearly give you enough for you to be like, it could be this, or it could also be this. It could be both. It could be neither. So they kind of do a job there.
In a way, it's more ambiguous, but I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I've picked a side.
No.
But yeah,
that's been my views.
I do agree, because it's kind of like like, oh, this is. I think if she, I don't know, because they lean in at the start with everyone's ankles being grabbed, and it's kind of like, okay, that's creepy. But then to have it be Clara to grab his, I'm like, so whose hand was grabbing everybody else? Is Clara just under all those other beds?
It's all the other versions of Clara.
Grabbing other people. Yeah,
just Osmond's just there, like
Yeah,
it's just a Dalek plunger.
Yeah. So I think there's an element of sort of like, so is that what is the case?
So if you can explain it away with the Doctor, then can you explain it away with the others?
Yeah, is it somebody? So it's kind of,
is it just like the kid playing a trick again?
Yeah, and maybe it's an element of the story trying to be too smart for its own good in this, trying to leave all these crumbs, but has now left too many crumbs that you're a bit like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
So they maybe should have had
question in regards to what the episode's about, but then that doesn't necessarily now work with the wider implications.
It's answered it twice, and they've been different answers. Is probably
it's like result. The Joker giving loads of different stories in the Dark Knight about how scars.
Yeah, exactly. So it's it is what it is, and it doesn't take away from the story too much, because you can, as we said, you can still take away what you want to take away from it. You can still, think how you want to think about it. You can take whatever you want. So it is up to your own definition of how you see it. But yeah, I think also this sort of ties in as well with sort of Clara being at the thing. And I know at the time, so many people must have been so furious that she was once again placed in the origin of the Doctor. Yeah, I know. I think there's so many people like that. But I do think that when they're like, oh, he's going to be a Time Lord, there's a pause for applause moment where I'm like, oh okay. And I'm, you know,
Marvel watch this and went,
yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Everything. 20 times the movie.
And you know, I like when they do more stuff like that, but it kind of just feels like they needed to shoehorn it in slightly, because at no point have they ever said, oh yeah, he grew up in a barn, and then all of a sudden it's like, we're making that his entire personality for the 12th Doctor. He is a barn boy, and that's where he will be.
I want to be a barn boy, baby.
And yes, it's fine, but it does feel that they kind of wanted to shoehorn a little bit of him in, and maybe this is to like tee up where they're going in the end, you know, in his second season, and how they want to get Gallifrey in there, and that's fine. But at times it felt a little bit shoehorned in, and then it sort of it filters into the story slightly. But I don't necessarily mind it. I don't hate it.
There's explanations like that's why the War Doctor chose that barn. I think that's nice to give it an explanation. But it also didn't need an explanation.
No, because that's why I've written down this is a Secret Day of the Doctor sequel. In the fact that they're all of a sudden at the end, it's like, hey, remember the big thing? Remember all the time? I'm like, whoa, okay.
John Hurt probably got 10 grand for that.
Exactly. I was just kind of thinking, I was like, oh, well, hang on, why have we all of a sudden gone from a spooky, what could be going on, to a remember the Time Lords and the Time War? Remember this big episode? I was like, oh, okay then, all right. So I don't think it necessarily needs that, but it doesn't.
He's referencing itself.
Yeah, unacceptable. Yeah, it doesn't take away from it, and I can definitely deal with it, but it does muddy it slightly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's your final negative?
My final one, yes. And again, this is because I just needed 3. You know, Clara Danny Day is purposely cringe, but it is still cringe. That's what I've gone for. Because I found it very uncomfortable to watch. But that is the point. Yeah. So I just needed a third negative, so I just put that in there.
No, that's fair enough. My third negative is equally as ridiculous. Is that the implication that it is Captain Jack and River Song knocking on the door outside?
That's not the episode's implication.
Which no, I know, and this is why it's a very silly negative. Which you tried to gaslight me into thinking was non-canon, and then I've looked it up and gone, wait a minute,
it is not canon. It's a Big Finish.
Well, this is it. This is where it all goes into what you want to canonize and what you don't.
Then the Doctor's met Mary Shelley 5 times before Jodie. They should have mentioned that.
I know. But then you've got like the 8th Doctor mentioning all of his Big Finish companions in Night of the Doctor. So it's I'm more than happy to assume that it's not the case. But
if it can give you a negative about a Stephen Moffat episode, you are willing to accept it.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's probably more an issue with Big Finish in that they just need to chill. Get your dartboard down. Take it down.
Well, I think they've been told to chill this year, haven't they? So.
Yeah, I think they've been given strict instructions by Russell in terms of, look, here's what you can do and here's what you can't do. I don't want you fucking around with the
camera. You don't need Jackie and everything.
So, I don't want Jackie and the 13th Doctor meeting, please.
What if Jackie met Doom? Popular character Doom. Jackie definitely has a place in this story.
What if Jackie went to Gallifrey and fought the Daleks? What are you doing?
Oh dear.
I think it's probably, I can't really, I mean, I can give it as a negative to the episode because it gave the opportunity for Big Finish. We're like, yeah, let's just ruin one.
I mean, that's a bit moment. You can say that about the episode.
No, and I can. And if it's something as silly as this, I probably, I would. But maybe the Target novel will clear it up. Whenever we get the Target novel.
If they making more Target novels.
Oh, please. Shh. Let me dream, please.
We're getting them for Shooty, that would be it.
Yeah, unfortunately, which is a shame, but we'll see. Maybe they'll come back in 20 years.
This is Doctor Who 2005 to 2023. It's not happening anymore.
It's true. Yeah, it's
that was literally so last year.
It really was.
Including the 6th anniversary specials that kicked started. New Era.
Yeah, and the Christmas special.
And the Christmas special. They shoot together.
But yeah, so it is what it is. It's a very silly negative. But I just don't, just leave it alone. Leave the episode alone. You don't have to come back and milk everything, Big Finish. Please. Yeah. Stick to your Jackie Tylers. That's all you need. It's fine. You can do a series on Awesome Pink if you want, and while he was there, that could be fun. But
might be a coincidence. They do say that everyone on Earth has like 3 or 4 doppelgangers.
Well, exactly. And, surely Jack and River must be doing something more interesting than pestering a poor man at the end.
And also, it makes them look like fucking assholes.
It really does.
It's not reflect the actors here, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
The characters are different.
Come on.
I mean, Alex Kingston seems lovely.
Half of the duo, at least, are terrible IRL. But yeah, have you got anything else to say, positive or negative?
Positive or negative? I think I've kind of mentioned everything now. And also, George has just come up to say hello because he's hungry. So I think that's my sign that I shouldn't say anything else, isn't it, George? Yes.
Good boy, George. He's trying his best.
Boy George.
Boy
George, everyone.
What a
special Doctor Who fan guest. Boy George.
What did you think of the episode? But yeah, I think I guess that's it for the positives and negatives. What fun facts doth thou have?
I doth have some. Let's have a look.
Yay.
I haven't read these in about 4 weeks, so I'm excited to find them out too. Okay, this episode marks the first time the Doctor is seen as a child, and the second Time Lords to be seen as a child, following the Master in The Sound of Drums. The Doctor's face is kept in shadow, but director Douglas McKinnon instructed the hair team to style his hair to match a photograph of a young William Hartnell. That's nice. In a 2007 short story, Corner of the Eye, Stephen Moffat dealt with the ideas of monsters that have the super ability to hide, called, are you ready for this? Floofs. He'd previously revived concepts from his short story, What I Did on My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow for Blink, by which you mean he just used the name Sally Sparrow. Yeah. The spacesuit Orson Pink wears is a reused spacesuit seen in The Impossible Planet, The Same Pit, and many others since. When the Doctor wakes in the TARDIS and mentions Sontarans perverting the course of human history, he's recalling the first words of the Fourth Doctor, who is describing events experienced by the Third Doctor. Okay. And I think Capaldi mentions those again when he wakes up at the end of The Doctor Falls, I think. So all the references all the time. Clara's words, "fear makes companions of us all," is a phrase the Doctor would later say to Barbara Wright in An Unearthly Child. So it's an Unearthly Child reference, everyone. Stop being so mad about it.
Wow, look at that. Barbara's back, baby.
Yeah, they'd be doing well to get Barbara back. But yes, sadly. Moffat began drafting the episode following a desire to write a chamber piece with no money in the middle of the series, as it had been a while since he'd done one. He wanted to explore the idea of what the Doctor would do when he had nothing to do. Go insane is the answer.
Yeah.
Paul Cornell, writer of Father's Day, Human Nature and the Family of Blood, claimed "Listen," and I quote, "might be the best Doctor Who story ever." And Peter Capaldi noted it as his favourite episode in his first series.
Oh, that's good.
And in 2015, the episode was nominated for the Bram Stoker Award for Superior Achievement in Dark Fantasy and Horror Writing, as well as the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, short form. It lost respectively to The Babadook and Season 2, Episode 10 of Orphan Black, which I heard is a very good show, so that's fair enough. And then I also did have the one about, Jack and River in Big Finish apparently were what was scaring Orson Pink out of his wits at the end of the universe, just knocking on the door. But I think that's bullshit. I don't consider it canon.
No, that's fair enough. I think the other thing is that allegedly, if it is the only planet left at the end of the universe, it's supposedly Gallifrey. I think because
not everything's Gallifrey, guys.
No, I know, but I think it's because
it's actually going to be the planet where the Doctor's originally from. So
of course, when they meet me at the end of the next season, she's on the last planet at the end of the universe, which is Gallifrey. She says it's Gallifrey. So, in putting two together, it should be that. But whether or not that's
it would be hilarious that 12 is so paranoid and distracted by this whole concept that he doesn't realize he's found
he doesn't realize. Yeah,
I do quite realize he's on. I do find that quite funny. That's the kind of fun canon I could get behind.
Yeah, and then that's what
being dickheads.
I think that's why a lot of people don't agree that it's Gallifrey, because they're like, "Oh, he wouldn't not realize." I'm like, "Well, he would. Can you not see how fixated he is on this one thing? He ain't going to be paying attention to anything else."
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy, man.
He really is crazy. But yeah, I mean, this is a very good episode. So out of 10. What are you giving it?
9.5.
Nice. I will give it a solid 9. I think it's fair enough because
a bit of a step up from poor Robot of Sherwood. I think we can.
Yeah. What did I give Robot of Sherwood?
I can't even remember what I gave Robot of Sherwood. I think it was a 4.5. I gave it.
Yeah, I've written down 6, but whether or not it was a 6, I cannot remember. Right. Either way, it wouldn't have been more than a 6. So
definitely
so
wasn't a
that's
9 or 9.5.
no,
That much we
no,
can agree
no,
on.
it definitely wasn't. So next week, or at least
We'll
next
see
time we
you
record
in
this,
2 months for Time Heist,
Yeah,
everyone.
yes, it is Time Heist. We'll have to do a Time Heist to get these out on time.
Yes, that's true.
What do you remember of this episode? What are you expecting? I haven't seen this one in a while.
I haven't seen
remember
this in ages.
I remember being a little bit confused when I first watched it because it is one of those timey-wimey.
It's the most Doctor Who, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So I mean, I'm excited. I'm intrigued by the monsters. I like when the head caves in, when he melts the brain.
What about that?
Yeah. So
that's great.
That's gonna be nice. That's gonna be fun.
It's another thing. Like, you can't think, otherwise you'll know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking of everything.
But yeah, I am excited to check this one out. I think the idea of like a bank heist and stuff, and the Doctor Who's on it is fun. The memory worm makes its grand return.
Yes.
How can we forget the iconic thing which is we used to prop? It's a memory worm again. Clara in a suit, I remember that very clearly. The big like snail slug alien, which looks really cool. Keely Hawes is a guest star in it. I think she's great in After Clashes and lots of other things. And the guy who's in Bridgerton now, and he's playing Fiero in the Wicked movies, Jonathan Bailey, before he kind of got everywhere. He's in this. The other woman who can like change her appearance when she touches things, she can kind of take on their appearance. Cool idea. She also voiced Melania in Elden Ring, like the most infamously hardest boss of all time, which is very cool. And I'm wearing an Elden Ring shirt today, so I thought I'd bring it up.
Nice.
Nice. So stacked cast. I'm looking forward to that. And again, it's kind of another kind of quite concise, small cast. So hopefully that kind of comes together, and let's go on a time heist, baby. I can't remember too much actually plot-wise about what's going on. So I guess we'll have to see how it holds up 10 years on. But I am looking forward. This isn't one from series 8 I would rewatch a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I would probably go to like either end of the series when I'm rewatching. So it'll be good to check this out. It's probably been a good like 8 years since I've seen it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the benefit of doing this, is that I'm now reaching the episodes that I've probably not seen that often.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, maybe not so much this series, but next series, I think, sort of with all of its two-parters, I was kind of like, and then not feeling.
How to rewatch two-parters.
So, so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. Hopefully, we can get on a run of before Shooty comes out in May, which is only a couple of months away now.
God, yeah, so it's May, isn't it? Oh no, we're gonna get time. That's it.
Yeah.
They're done.
That was
months.
God, yeah. But we'll see. We'll see what comes out. Obviously,
I'd like to get halfway through Series 8 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
We've got 9 months to do.
But,
3 episodes.
Yeah, we can look. We can finish it. We can finish this series by the end of the year. There's only 9 episodes left of the series. We can do that by the end of the year.
I don't know if we can. It's taken us 3 months to do 2.
Right, it's fine. We've had other things going on. It's okay. We've been very busy. But yes, that will do us for today. We will be back at some point in time with probably more Doctor Who content and some various other content, I'm sure, and in Time Heist, yes. So yeah, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.